Get here and know, I mean, respectful of the times. I know we're on the lunch hour and several people have to report back. The reason for this emergency meeting is that yesterday, Mr. Patterson approved lift station 1 has gone out due to many other possible reasons. Could be electrical related, short circuit, a whole lot of other reasons. They've diagnosed it. It is not working. We literally only have a few hours before sewage starts to back up in the streets and in the homes. So in order to fix, repair it, there are two options, a short-term and a long-term. The short-term involves Xylem. Xylem is a company from which we pay to do bypasses around our pumps because the pumps aren't working. So they come in with a bypass. I'm sure y'all have seen them, heard them, and then we have to fuel them constantly to keep them going. And that's the short-term fix it's supposed to be. The long-term is Tim Carter, who comes in and repairs the pump or puts in a new one where you don't need a bypass. We owe both companies so much that they aren't going to come until we make a payment. I can't make a payment unless y'all approve it. And I've got Mr. Patterson's here. We owe Xylem. It's probably easier for me to read the text than this, but it's, let me see if I can pull it up here. And I've spoken with both parties today. We owe them $312,000, $248,000 of it is past due. They are not asking for the entire payment. In talking to Ms. Ramsey, and I want to confirm this, but Ms. Wesley is out on sick leave. We think we can make a $100,000 payment to Xylem out of the Rescue Act money that we still have in that account. That should be enough that they will go ahead and come down and solve our short-term problem, whether it's here in time or not at this point. Let's just probably hope it is. The second one is Tim Carter. We owe them, I believe it's a total of $36,000. And that is the company that actually repairs or replaces them. I don't have the total. Let's see if I can get it here. And he's not going to come, and he won't be able to fix the short-term problem anyway. He's more longer term, but in order to fix it permanently, we would have to. I mean, that's who we use. And having said that, while I look for this total, Mr. Patterson's here and take any questions you have. About the situation. And I guess I'll ask Mr. Patterson if you want to add anything to that, I guess. Or correct me if I said something incorrect.
Well, the control panel, the control lift station 1 was struck by light and it burned. By this control panel, which operates the station, it ceases to pump. They won't tell the pumps to come on. A bypass pump would enable us to keep the sewage flowing and also keep from bagging up. Man, running over. The rain isn't helping because rainwater is getting out into our sewer lines. We need either a bypass pump or Tim Carter to come down and fix this problem. I would prefer a bypass pump so we can hook it up and get the sewage to going where it needs to go, and that's to the park.
36,785.91 is how much we owe 10 car. Well, that was the other, it was just happened yesterday. So the other issue was submitting it to insurance company. And we don't know for a fact that it was a lightning strike.
Okay.
I mean, do we have a dedicated reason like that that we believe? I mean, actually, the vendors might be easier at telling us what caused it. But do you have anything you want to add to that? Cause of it? Like, could be lightning strike, could have been a lot of things.
It could have been a very, for sure.
But yes, we talked about that too.
If they will give us something, yeah, that would help. I have a question. Have these past bills come before us before?
In different ways, I think it has.
Right.
These invoices for 10 Carva and Xylem. We've talked about Xylem many times, and I think we've talked about 10 Carva. Now, these are collective. So the council approved the bypass pumps before I even got here. So I don't know, but I'm presuming so because there were so many of them.
So you saying these bills were here before you got here?
The bills hadn't been paid.
No, they're here before you got here, is that what you're saying?
Most of these, not all of them, but most of them have been the pumps, the bypass pumps that created the bills, yes. But I mean, we've talked about as far as the bills themselves go, we've talked about needing to pay those bills many times here. And these would include some of these bills, and some of them are just accrued over time.
Mr. Patterson, how much are those bypass pumps a month from Xylem?
Depending on the size of the pumps,
Uh-huh.
239, something like that.
A month,
Yes, ma'am.
2,039,
No,
200,000. I mean, to rent them, aren't they running about 80,000 a month?
well, we got 5 pumps,
5 pumps?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
and they different size pumps.
Okay.
For the record, are you saying you've written 5 pumps?
So, but if we, I mean, this is about an emergency situation, and I want to be respectful of your time, but the American Rescue Act funds that we got the first time, this was one of the main things we were going to try to do was replace the bypasses with regular pumps so that we would not have to rent them anymore. It's one of the biggest problems. Not long after I became mayor, and I was given a tour to educate me on it. This was one of the top things that was brought to my attention was that we need to replace the pumps so that we're not releasing and making these lease pumps. So in a way, it would be saving money to spend money because we wouldn't have to be doing ongoing leases.
That's basically, well, what's the rental start? Because I haven't done way with credibility for.
$80,000 for 5 pumps. When did the rental
So
start?
I mean, that really predates both Jeff and me because I became aware of it when Jack and Benzine gave me a tour probably a month in. So I'm assuming y'all already did all that because we already had them.
Hadn't come to this since I've been city
It
attorney.
was also in his recommendations to us later as one of the priorities that needed to be addressed was to replace the pumps so that we wouldn't have to pay rental fees. But as far as the going through all the minutes and trying to find out when all those things originally happened, I don't have an answer for you. I know they were here when I got here, most of
The bills.
the pump, the bypasses. What Xylem does is rent us the bypass pump. So for example, one at what used to be Miller School. How long has that one in Miller School been going on? I mean, a long time, the one down at Industrial Park.
Well, my concern was the past due. And you're saying that these bills were here before you came? Is that
I'm
what you're saying?
saying the pumps were here, the bills we've been talking about for quite a while.
Wait a minute, about Xylem, what's this type? How much are we talking per pump?
Well,
I heard 80,000, but
it
what
depends
is
on the size of the pump, as I understand.
So 80,000, is that for all 5
That's a month.
per month? That's all 5 pumps, right?
Right.
And how long have we had 5? Has it always been 5, or was it 2 and 3, and then we added? Huh?
Yeah,
It's always been 5?
no, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Anthony, I think this, to my recollection, I think we may have started running one pump, I think,
Mhm.
a while ago, when we first started working on the sewer ponds and building the walls around those sewer ponds. I believe we first started, I think the first rental was that pump right off Highway 44, that lift station over there. I don't know if
The first one was at lift station 7.
where is that?
Behind the school.
Okay. And so this when we first started,
Then
somewhere when we were getting ready to do
It
lift
was
pumps.
around 600 something a week.
So I don't want to get too far away from you, but let me make sure I understand this. You're saying that there's a panel that was struck by lightning or had something happen to it. And this is, are we saying yesterday? Okay. And that one either needs a bypass or it needs to be repaired.
Well, really both, but the repair is gonna take longer.
But I'm, okay, but I got that part right, okay. We don't know what the cost of repair is gonna be, right? Because nobody's coming, I assume at this point, nobody's looked at it, so we don't know what the cost of repair. And a bypass would cost what?
600 a week.
$600 a week. And
Or more.
this is rented?
Yes, ma'am.
$600 a week or more, depending on what's out. And so this, I think you said 312,000 and 448,000 past due is an issue, I think that you're saying has to be dealt with in order to get is that what you're saying? It has to be dealt with to get the bypass? Am I understanding now? I'm trying to put all these pieces together and I don't know.
So the Xylem, both companies that do this, Xylem is the short-term bypass pump.
Right.
Tim Carver is the longer-term fixed replacement pump.
Okay,
Both are saying they need to be paid before they can come down here. Tim
Okay.
Carver wants a significant payment. The amount that Ms. Ramsey and I came up with that we could do to Xylem is $100,000, and that would be enough to get them down here to fix our problem. If we don't fix the problem, or even if we do call them as soon as this meeting's over, I mean, it's still, we're still looking at a real close call this afternoon before people start to have sewer in their houses and in the streets.
so Xylem does the bypass pump,
Correct,
and then the other company does the permanent fix.
correct.
One thing I will add is, in the past, Ms. Wesley has been able to pay a little along when she had money to Xylem and to Tim Carver. We've helped out a little bit from the general fund side too, to, keep them at bay anyway.
Well, one of the issues that I have, is an emergency, it needs to be taken care of. But the other issue I have is, this is consistent that this is the first that I'm hearing about all 5 pumps, $80,000 a month. We have not done away with competitive bidding. We have not bought it for bidding at all. It's over $5,000. I still think the city needs to look at long-term engineer, total fix for the water department, because the issue is a revenue bond. I think that y'all would have a duty if a bond presented for y'all to look at it, do it, get it financed, because this is a total waste of money, $80,000 a month for rental when we can look at fixing it. The long term, I think that it's incumbent on the mayor and the city council to fix the long-term problem and get it done.
And I'm just saying, we need to do something immediately, and I agree with that, and I think we've always talked about having plans, and I'm saying we should look at for which one ever is in the most need, and put that on a 5-year plan. We will have this pump replaced, we will have that pump replaced, that type of thing. That's what we talked about when we first said infrastructure on when we were going to increase water rates. I would be the plan that, what's his name, that man with Jack Ross, but we haven't put anything formally into place to start to work on.
And I have to agree with that. As you look at it, when the mayor caught a disaster or whatever, how much money did we spend? This is the thing, that gets me. $100,000, we were paying about $100,000 to fix what should have been fixed a long time ago. When we raised water rates, as Ms. Ford said, we raised them to make sure, sewer rates as well, to make sure that there's something that happened that we could pay for it. But we don't get clear understanding of what's going on. I know we don't get involved in daily operations, but when it's a problem, a major problem, you bring it at the crack of dawn to us to fix it. And to say to us that the citizens have, we don't hurt the citizens, but you already have. When you come to us and say, hey, this is this, I'm pretty sure the water department has said, hey, we got these issues. We're able to get bad enough, here comes the mayor. But I'm pretty sure those guys are saying this, and we got some pumps that are going down. You were so busy fighting the city council, and you should have been saying, let's replace pump 1, pump 2. I mean, some of the guys would ask me, hey, if we replace a pump quarterly, you replace a pump out here, you replace another pump. It's probably $100,000 for each pump to be replaced. It can be cheaper. You have not brought a plan to this body and say, hey, you haven't got Mr. Patterson and say, listen, we have some kind of a plan, because at we're gonna pay for $300,000 and still got no pumps. Is that correct?
It's trying to be.
No, right. So we still doing well. Right. So that doesn't make any type of sense. I'm just saying, we need pumps repaired, right? So we're gonna pay these folks to come in and get started on something, but if we have known, like the infrastructure that you so up to date, right? When did we get this opportunity now? Trade you see that? So why don't we try to have a short-term plan until we get this money to replace the pump? Get an estimate how much it's going to take. Get a bid and see how much it's going to take to repair each pump. You use something that at least get 4 or 5 pumps fee, a total fees, but you still got to pay these folks, because the water department still, as a 5/25/22, still had $724,000 of unpaid bills after checks has been written and can't be paid is $264.60. So the water department is in bad shape. And you want to say that the buck stops with you. You don't even have a plan in place for us. They got checks to be paid. They got checks to be already got sent out. $747,686. And you looking like if you're doing such a good job, but then the water, and I'm not fussing, I just want to make sure that the water department be taken care of. But if we commit to doing $100,000, we still got $200,000 we got to do, right?
Plus this job.
Right, so come on, we got to get something done. So right, but I mean, I don't mind getting something done today. But what I'm saying is, we gonna be able to spend a whole lot of money and still do nothing. So we come in with a fix.
Here's 2 things that I see. You missed the earlier part. But Mr. Patterson said this is something, that is something done immediately before sewer starts backing up later this evening in Creeper House. And so they want some fix at this point. At this point, the $300,000 passed due to Xylem. And Xylem is the person who does the bypass, et cetera. That has previously not been presented to the council. Now, for the record, that was previously not presented to the council.
What was
$300,000.
That's not accurate. That's not accurate, but.
I'm not finished talking, man.
There's personal privilege, you just said, no, you're not recognized, hold on a minute, let it talk. Listen, you try and talk over me so nobody can hear you, that is not accurate, several times. Wait, I'm asking you to show the respect that this city council meeting deserves, that this community deserves. We have, please suspend. We are trying to repair problems under the emergency. Now, we're talking about things that we have had special meetings, we have had plans, we do have plans, we have over $1 million that got reappropriated to other things. Now, Mr. Franklin, and one of the number one items that I asked you for was to replace the pumps that we would no longer have to pay for rental fees. So this has come up before us numerous times. When I became mayor, you already had these pumps behind Central, behind Miller, Golden School, at the industrial park, at the sewer ponds. The only new one that I can think of might be the one behind on Valley Drive. And that's because we did not approve the fix of a new pump. So while we're wagging figures at everybody, the public is right now at risk of sewers back up in their homes, in their streets. Besides pointing wagging figures and talking about history, that's great. If you want to have another special meeting on this, we can. My question is not what am I doing? I'm doing my job. My question is, what is the city council going to do to resolve this emergency? And every minute we sit here and wag fingers and tell all this stuff about the past, there's a minute gone by. We need the city council to approve the expenditure of funds for Xylem and Tenkara, and also Mr. Patterson has something about the airport and airport road, so that we can address these emergencies for the public health of our safety, the safety of our citizens. And you're the one who started talking. Now, you're the one who started talking. And so we can address that. That is specifically the purpose of this meeting. And you don't run this meeting. Mr. Franklin. Well, then, you might want to think about it. If you cannot follow the rules, the organized meeting, then you're big. And I'm trying to get our public service taken care of. Once again, it's about pointing fingers, it's about history, it's about rereading history. All this is today is to advise you immediately of this public safety emergency and ask for your support and help to address it immediately, before people are literally going to be standing in their houses in the street. That's the question for the council. That is the only question for the council. Yes, it is. And we can address all the future issues and other issues at another meeting. While we sit here and argue, we are not addressing the problem, and it is an emergency for a reason. What is the will of the council? Complete your comments. What is the will of the council on this issue?
I was talking, the issue that I was saying is that the $300,000 that's presented today has not been presented to council, is all I was saying. And this council asked 3 times, Mayor, for you and the city treasurer to give them the detail for the emergency spending that you have so they can discuss it. They asked that 3 times. Crockett asked it twice, Mr. Franklin asked it once. Now, as we're here today, the question is, you're paying $100,000 what the mayor is saying the person could start. But the mayor and Mr. Patterson has not said also how much this is going to cost, what's the estimate and everything. That was how I was trying to make the conversation too, as it relates to it. And so, as it relates to this, the thing about it is we keep having these meetings, but we're going back and forth, man. You keep talking about that the council is not concerned about the emergency, but you also have to be concerned about following the rules that are set in place. Council does need to act in emergency. Both of you have a duty to act. You have to follow the $5,000 spending limit. They have a duty to make sure that the city doesn't come to a point of a public crises. And so we're there. The question today is, what is it, Mr. Patterson, that this is going to cost? And what is it that you're asking to be paid today to get it done? Because you're saying it has to be done before tonight or something, a problem. What is the solution? How are you trying to get it done tonight? What is your plan? And those things that have not been said to anybody.
This is my plan. So that.
The bypass for today is what they bring you offer.
Okay, the bypass will be. So all the city help. Because if not, it's no bad.
I understand that part. I think he was asking, including about how much do you think it's gonna cost to repair this tonight.
The bypass part is to relieve the city.
I understand that. It was just a figure. I understand. It's just about.
It's just, the board is something that's from but send me technicians down. To analyze and write the report.
But tonight, Jen, we need Zyra. We need the $100,000. Okay, nice again, so I can be clear. You're asking for $1,000 to get $100,000, I'm sorry, $100,000 to Zyra to get them to come back. That's what you're asking for, so they can bring about it. Is that what you're saying? Thank you.
The other issue, how much is it for a bypass pump? I think we addressed that earlier. Wow.
I just
It's I think 639 for the 6-inch pumps, and as you go up, it increases.
And so that would be another answer to Ms. Davis's question. And I'm not finished. So the other question, now, Mr. Bowden.
Oh, wait.
You never say that. The other question is, down here and give us an estimate because we are not paid up on their bills. So we won't have an estimate for a permit fix. We'll be in the same shape where the city has been on these other pumps since before I became mayor, which is that we aren't replacing the pumps. We're continuously bypassing them and not approving new pumps. And that will happen again on this one if we don't get others. We can get other people, but Tim Carver's going to ultimately probably be the one who does it. It usually is, and we can even bid it out for that matter. But we have to pay Tim Carver's bill for them to come give us an estimate. And then you can decide on the permanent fix.
Mr. Patterson, do you need Mr. Tim Carver? You don't need him tonight. You need to get the emergency fix, right? That's what we're here for. I think it says, lift station number 1. So that's what we need to get done?
Yes, sir.
Till here today?
Yes.
Okay, and we can set another meeting for Tim Carver tomorrow or whatever. I just don't want the sewage spilling in the residents' houses and stuff tonight. What's the hold us, right? Thank you. I want to make a motion.
Ms. Davis, you recognize for motion.
I'm going to approve $100,000 on the past due bill to Xylem pending an ordinance that the city attorney will do to fix the issue that we have. Thank you. A second, third.
Ms. Davis moves that we approve $100,000 pending a.
If I may, what's really doing is go ahead, because it's emergency, get it done. So the next council meeting, we'll do ordinance ratifying this action. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We'll do ordinance for suspending the rules and waiving competitive bidding on that issue.
Yes, sir. That is correct. Can I?
Ms. Davis moves that we waive competitive bidding and approve $100,000 for Xylem immediately so that we can request their presence to avoid the emergency in sewage in our sewer pump at lift station 1. And Ms. Ford seconds the motion.
And Ms. Ford she had a question, you had a comment or question, Ms. Ford?
Ms. Ford, I have a question.
Yeah, I just want to, this is to my, co-counsel, can we, call another meeting to work on these other issues? But we need to get this fixed today. Yes, ma'am.
I have one practical question, that's Ms. Davis' motion. We will also add the issue of the rentals for $600 a week for the bypass pump,
Yes, I'd like to add the rental.
because that's what it costs, right? $600.
Depending if they bring 6 inch or more, they had to make clear what they had on the lot, because they know they're gonna get the $100 check.
Is there a range from 6 to
It
1,000?
ranges from 6 to 10 inch, maybe 12 inch.
From 6 to how much?
Oh, from 600 to like 2,300 a month. I mean,
I'd like to add the rental to my motion.
well, you know how much it is before they leave.
Well, and the question of whether it goes over $5,000 or not is much, it's got more to do with whether we replace it or continue with the bypass. But, yeah, I think it's wise to include though in the motion. Ms. Davis has amended her original motion to say approval of the $100,000 for past due Xylem bill in order to immediately address the emergency at lift station 1, and up to how much? Up to $5,000 or up to? Do we want to put a total cap on
I
it?
said 2,300.
I think it goes to 23.
You said 23.
After that, though,
But he's saying per week,
Right.
so it's gonna be greater than,
After
the
that.
rentals up to 2,300 per week is what you're saying, Ms. Davis?
I am up to 2,300.
Is your second saying that?
up to $2,300 a week.
It's emergency, you don't have a cap on it, did you want to? The man's asking, is there a cap on your motion, the 2,300 per week?
I said up to.
Right, but he's saying duration, how many weeks? You said up to 2,300 per week.
I don't know, because after we do that, then we're gonna get the 10 car to come in, all right? So,
I only prepared the bill.
well, that's.
Did you say it's up to 5 because in case we don't make the deadline for 10 Carver. At this rate, we're not gonna pay 10 Carver.
Mr. Patterson's trying to deny us. How many weeks are you asking for the temporary fix? The rental?
The bypass
Yes, sir.
will be here until we get 10 cars, what we hope, and they bring a crew down here to assess this panel and tell us how much it's gonna cost to fix it.
Is 5 weeks sufficient?
No, sir.
That's the question we're asking, is because the mayor's trying to get clarity,
It's not enough.
so we won't have to come back and forth, and Ms. Davis trying to get clarity.
This station covers all county and the neighborhood. And it's constantly coming to this station. It doesn't stop. And this station sends the sewage all the way to the pumps, straight to the pump.
So if we pay 10 car within the 5 weeks,
Me again, and you agree to pay 10 cars.
I mean, next week.
So that they can come down here, assess this board, and then tell us what it's gonna cost to repair. We bring it to you, and you approve it.
okay, let me ask you a question. If we go ahead and pay 10 Carver, within 5 weeks, do you think that 10 Carver could have the permanent fixture done?
They'll be here tomorrow.
It'll be here tomorrow.
Okay, but then 5 weeks would be sufficient, right?
If you do that.
We also next week. So when he comes in, he can come in today. Y'all say you need today?
He's not coming to the.
I mean, listen, when we
Well, I was just, if I may clarify, the current motion is to appropriate $100,000 from payment of Xylem and to appropriate the rental up to $2,300 per day for a pump. The question they were asking at this point from the water was $2,300 per week. how many weeks do they need to appropriate this for? In light of the fact they have another city council meeting within the next 10 days.
You both wanted to speak anyway, so go ahead.
The problem with the 5 week is with all this going on with COVID, get parts and boards, I don't know how long it's gonna be before you can get a board here.
But I think what they're asking is, they want to try to keep them abreast, but they're trying to get something done right now related to. It always be extended.
When we meet with bypass pump, if they approve it, we get bypass pump today.
And it'll be running before we leave.
Okay. And then the only thing, as I pointed out when we started the meeting, 36,800 pays TNCO off, they will immediately come and buy $36,785.95 pays them off, and they will come down and do the estimate so that by Tuesday, or any other thing you want by Tuesday, it can be done. If we wait until Tuesday to pay them, and the city clerk's informing that we do have the ability to pay the
That was
36,000.
just my question, just to ask if you have 36,000.
If we do that today, then he can go ahead and come down and give the estimates on Tuesday night. Y'all can make the decision about paying him to fix the permit. But we run the risk of paying a lot more rental fees, which is what we're already doing.
Here's the quote, the question Ms. Davis is trying to answer about is talking around, but not precisely answering the question. If everything was boom, 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 what's the maximum time that you think you'll make that bypass pump, so we can improve it right now?
Bypass pump today.
Right, but
I
how,
see what you're saying, get it out of here.
yeah, how long do you think, best case, let's say, let's say, 3 months? Okay, that's the question.
Do you add 3 months to your provision? $2,300 week up to 3 months, 90 days.
That's 23 months.
90 days is up to 90 days.
Yeah. So if I can repeat the motion, I will bring on this at the next regular council meeting. You want to appropriate $100,000 a day to pay Xylem. In addition, you appropriate $2,300 per week towards the rental of the bypass for up to 90 days. And the water department is to keep this council informed as to the expenditures so that they can make additional appropriation later. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Is that what your second is saying?
Yes, sir.
It's not per day. You said-
I said per week.
It's per week.
No, you said $100,000 per day.
But I said $100,000 today.
2 days.
Today, $100,000.
And up to $2,300.
Up to $2,300 per week, up to 90 days.
And that's the motion in the second. One thing I would add is the sooner we pay TNCO, the sooner we can stop paying bypass. And that's the same as the other bypass points. But having said that, motion is second on the table. Any questions about the motion? Call roll. We got birds. It's almost 1 hour. Ross, have you had? Call roll. You're not recognized, Mr. President.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Etheridge.
Yes.
Fuller.
Yes.
Crockett. Columbia. 4 yes, 2 no.
Motion passes. Any other business? Mr. Patterson did have something that was emergency about, you want to address that quickly? I'm sorry, we spoke a lot. I can talk about longer than that, it's not probably good. Addressing about the road situation, is there anything they need to do to be able to fix the road legislation?
Well, I'm not asking the city council to do anything right now, but I'm doing all that I can do to get the station back running.
That's true.
Okay. You can go ahead and finish. It doesn't matter, Mr. Franklin.
I'm doing all that I can do to get the station back running. The station has a lot of sewage, a lot of sludge in the bottom of the pit. Right now, I'm getting it pumped out as possible. And maybe by getting it pumped out, it would enable these pumps to pump what they are intended to pump, and that's liquid instead of mud. So, guys, want me to keep y'all abreast on that? I can.
We would like that.
If I may, I know we're not supporting, but the city council has already agreed to spend $1.2 million of money. We told them once the money comes in June, The other issue that I would say is we need a long-term fix, because again, this 80,000, and it just went up by $2,300 a week. This $80,000 that we're spending a month needs to be curtailed. If we have to do a revenue bond, we need to do whatever we can to bring the water department completely up to repair all the issues.
I'll get you all an updated list and price of what it would cost to replace the pumps that bypass it. So we have addressed this many times in the past. We'll get an updated quote, try to get that by Tuesday, if not by the following Tuesday, so I can make a decision by the time the federal one gets. All right, no problem, thank you.
We need to add the $36,000 to the next agenda, if you would. To the
$36,000.
Thank you all. Thank you.